I was gonna give up like multiple times. Sometimes it really hit me that it was never gonna happen. Nobody knows like that Egypt isn't even have saber fencers. So we started from the bottom.
Usually you find couples in sports, but they play the same sport, so their schedule is kind of similar. But for us it's so challenging because we play different sports and both our schedules are very busy. To be a successful individual athlete, you have to be selfish, you have to think about yourself, I never thought about someone else in my life in general, and until I met Ziad, obviously.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Abtal, a podcast series from the national news dedicated to Arab athletes and their respective journeys towards the Paris 2024 Olympics. I'm your host, Reem Abulleil, and today I'm joined by Egyptian fencer Ziad Sissy, who has clawed his way up the world and Olympic rankings to land inside the top 3 and is getting ready for his second Olympic Games this summer in Paris. A bronze medalist at the World Championships and a Mediterranean Games champion, Ziad has carved a path for himself in sabre fencing that has taken him from Alexandria to Detroit, Dallas to New York, and to his current residence in Connecticut, where he shares a home with his wife, superstar squash player Nouran Gohar. A 2-time runner-up at the NCAAs, Ziad claimed the most victories in program history at Wayne State University, where he completed a degree in mechanical engineering. Now at 29 and with a wealth of experience under his belt, he is eyeing gold in Paris to fulfill not just his own Olympic dream, but his late father's dream as well. Ziad dives deep into his fencing journey and explains why he almost walked away from the sport after the Tokyo Olympics. He discusses the mental challenges of his sport and why he's been able to make a leap up the rankings and establish himself among the fencing world's elite. A very special guest also joins us on this episode to give us greater insight into Ziad's life. Ziad Sissy, I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you so much for your time and thanks for joining me on Abtal.
Oh, Reem, I'm very excited to be with you too as well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, you're obviously a fencer, and I read that you started when you were 12 years old?
Like 11, 12.
So what got you into fencing?
My mom. So my mom always liked individual sports. I used to play basketball. It was like we come from a basketball family. Like my dad, my brother, or even my mom used to play basketball. And I was like in love with basketball. I always wanted to be like my dad and my like brother, really good, and wanted to make the national team and everything. And then my mom decided she's into more like individual sports. She didn't like the fact of like team sports, and then like the coach has the right to pick who's gonna play, who's not gonna play, who's gonna be on the bench. So she was like, no, I like more individual sports. So she signed me up for like couple, like not even couple, like more than couple sports, like individual sports. And that was the reason that I like, one of them is squash. I did squash. She did a couple things. But I was always like into basketball. So as soon as I get in the other sport, I was like always like upset. I don't want to go to practice and things like that. And then, so she saw me off for fencing and she said like, just go try. And I think that the key person here that made me really try was my dad, because he was like really smart. He got me on the right part. He's like, you know what, you really want to get better at basketball. So fencing is really going to help you get faster, and like on defense, it's going to make you jump higher. It's going to make you touch the rim. And I was a kid, so I was like, yes, I'll do fencing. Then I'll get my footwork better. And that's how it started.
It's almost like you got tricked into it.
Exactly.
And was fencing
actually, I remember
big
one of the biggest things I said, I still remember that thing. I literally told him, if I have a world championship in fencing and I have a basketball practice, I'm going to basketball practice. I didn't even know I'm going to make it to the world championship. I was just saying that. I still remember those words.
And was fencing big in Alexandria?
It wasn't that big. That was the other thing too. As soon as I get to a fencing club comparing to a basketball court, it was like, what am I doing here? Like, where's the sport?
At what point did you start liking it?
When I start winning, so I practiced really hard, and then they saw me out for a couple competition, and I did it for fun because I thought it was really easy. honestly, because I was really like trying to do my best and get better at basketball. So I was practicing really hard. And then they start putting up in competition, and I was like, it's easy, just hit your opponent. It's not a big deal, right? So I started doing it, and I got lucky that I got picked with one of the best coaches. Like he saw me in the fencing club running around, and he's like, I wanna coach him, Captain Gamal Abdul Latif, and he was really intense. So I didn't want to join because he was really intense. But then luckily, he decided that he wants to coach me, and then I did start with him, which really helped me like develop, like get better faster. And then when I start winning, I got a medal in nationals. That's when and then started getting picked to the national team. That's where it started hitting me. It was like, okay, so my goal in basketball is even to make it to national team and then start traveling with the team and representing Egypt and everything. So what about instead of me, I already did the same thing. I'll be on the same flight with the basketball team going to the African Games, which really happened. And then on the way back, this is where the trick part, like it was African Games under 17. And then I won gold in 2 events, in individual and teams. And then I think the basketball team only got 1 medal or something, was bronze or something. And we were coming back on the same flight. So I was like, well, what about, maybe that sounds interesting. I got 2 gold medals by myself, and why not? I can do it. I kind of like it. I'm kind of doing the same thing, and I'm actually like getting the results that I really want. So
it's almost like the pressure was off because in your mind you were just doing it as a means to an end, and that took away the pressure, and you ended up doing really well. That's really cool.
Actually. I think that's a big part of it for sure. Yes. I agree.
Okay, and I know there's 3 weapons in fencing.
How do you know that?
I'm a sports journalist.
I did research.
So foil, épée, and you do sabre, right?
Exactly.
So how did you land on sabre? Like,
with
was it a choice?
The coach? No, that's the coach who picked me. He was a sabre coach, and actually, my opinion, I'm a little biased, but sabre is super fun to watch. It's like that's what everybody says when they watch fencing from outside. Like sabre is really fast, and you don't have to poke; you can slash. So it's kind of like more interesting. Like even in the opening ceremonies or something, when they have like big guests, they always start in the World Championship. They always start with sabre. So it's more interesting for the people to watch, for the audience.
Yeah, it does look like what you would imagine a sword fight would
exactly,
look like
exactly.
The most.
That's the closest one, yes.
Yeah, I get that. So when did your Olympic dream actually start?
From the beginning. From as soon as I decided that I'm continuing fencing, I'm going to continue and like I'm going to pursue like fencing. And it all started, my dad was, of course, my mom like, she's the one who got me into sports from the first place. We didn't even want to do it, but like my dad was the person who knows how to get me. Like he knows how to like know how I think, and one of the big reasons that I start really committing to fencing is I see when I win how that makes my parents proud and happy. It just was a really like. It was a big thing for me. As soon as I like win a national title or something, and I see them like smiling and being there, and like always like I just felt that the family is getting together and always happy. Especially my dad. I just like he was like keen. He used to travel a lot because of work, but and whenever he's in Egypt, he used to be like very keen to attend even my practice. And he was also and then after practice he would take me to the track, and he was like my physical trainer coach. He's like. Like, okay, we'll run, we'll do this. He was always like giving me programs, and our dream is to get an Olympic medal. He's like, yeah, but we'll do this together, and then we get to the Olympics and we get an Olympic medal. And that's the biggest thing. I even after Tokyo, after getting to Olympics, I decided I was kind of like almost thinking about quitting, like stopping, like okay. And then it came up to me. Even Nouran really helped me in this. She reminds me because I that was my dream to get a medal in the Olympics, but we ended up getting 5th in teams, and Olympics is not easy. It's really a big event, and it's very competitive. And where we come from as sabre in Egypt, it wasn't there. Nobody knows like that Egypt isn't even have sabre fencers. So we started from the bottom. Like we go to a tournament, and people don't know where we come from. It's like that guy like could just finish like even the ref won't even look at the bout, just get it like make you lose the bout like real quick and just get out. So I was really depressed after Tokyo a little bit because I wanted to get my dad's dream, especially after he passed away in 2014. So I wanted to really continue, and so after getting to Tokyo and not achieving it, it was kind of like depressing. But then, like, thank God, with like the family in Iran and everything, they were able to get me back, and I was able to push myself back. It's like, no, I'm not gonna quit unless I hopefully I can like pursue our dream and me and my dad and just make him proud.
So that must be a huge motivation. But also, I don't know how you see it. Is it also pressure because you're not doing it just for yourself? Or is that something, I think you mentioned from the beginning that you were always doing it to make your family happy. So is that the source of your drive always?
I think it's more not on the pressure side for me. It's more that I enjoy it. And I'm sure that also when I start like getting like some of the like big records that have like especially getting a medal at the World Cup or like getting a medal at World Championship, that wasn't a thing. So I start feeling that I think my dad already can see like how I accomplished like great results in something that we know where like when he was there, when I started going to even cadet and junior like World Cups or World Championship, like if we make top 16, that's a huge, like with everybody was like congratulations, like great job, like keep it up. And so I'm sure he knows where we started from and how he ended up being like looking at the point standing. He used to print out like all my rankings and like highlight my name. I was like, until I reached like number 9 in the world in juniors, which is, he was really proud of that. So I'm sure if he looks and see like I'm number 3 in the world in seniors and number 3 in the Olympic ranking and kind of like getting closer to our dream, I think he's gonna be really proud. So it really motivates me that I really want to accomplish this.
100%. I'm sure he's incredibly proud. Tell me, because you just mentioned you're world number 3 as we speak right now, and also in the Olympic ranking, that jump that you made, that kind of leap in being part of that really elite group, what did it take for you to get to that? What were the key things that made you reach that?
Years, a lot of downs. Like I told you, I was gonna give up like multiple times. Sometimes it really hit me that it was never gonna happen. It's really far. It was really hard. But I think that patience and just believing in yourself. Like I was always saying, like when I was started, like after me and my dad like had that dream, when everybody's telling me like, "What's your dream?" I was like, to get an Olympic medal, and everybody would look at me. I was like, look at this kid. What are you talking about? Like, what's even your ranking in seniors? It's not even. But like, I always believed that I can do something. I always believed in myself that I can. But of course, when I start getting on the strip and losing early and not making it, I just feel maybe they're right. Maybe it's kind of hard. Like I doubt myself a little bit, but then I get back and I try to like push myself hard and try to get as far as possible. And then like after years, experience really makes a difference. Like people, like I'd always tell, like there's a lot of kids that are here, like, hey, but how did you? It's really hard. Like, how did you? Like, it takes time. It takes time. Like by the time you get on the strip, that how many times I've been on the strip, how many times I've been through that pressure, how many times I had to take a decision on the last touch, like 14-14, whoever's gonna score the last touch is gonna win, and I was in that pressure and I had to deal with it. How many times I lost it, and then I start winning it. I like that picture that says like failure, and then success.
Yeah, with the steps.
So I think it really, the steps, exactly. I think it really like it's reality. And then the other key point is enjoying it. It really made a difference when I start really like putting the pressure aside. Like you were saying, the pressure really make a huge like impact on it. When I start putting the pressure on like on the side and start enjoying what I do. I love being on the strip. Like I coach a little bit now. I have a little kids that I coach. I really love them, and I always tell them like the competition day is like, imagine you're an actor and you're gonna get on the theater, right? And then like in front of everybody, and everybody's gonna watch you, and it's time for you to perform. So be excited about it. Don't be like, oh, I'm shaky. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. Try to enjoy the moment. Get on it, and look in front of it. Look at everybody in the eye. Smile and perform. Show them how good you are. So I like to look at it that way. So I like competition. I'm really excited. Sometimes I can't sleep because I'm really excited that so of course there's a little pressure, but I try to make the excitement like overcome the pressure.
That's awesome. And that's a good analogy that you said to the kids, because your sport especially, there is a bit of a
you literally
performance
get on the stage in front of everybody, right?
And you put
they
on
actually
a
have those lights
costume.
only on you.
Yeah,
the spotlights only on you.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm wondering, when you spoke about belief before, now that you're part of that top group, how much do you feel like you belong? Like, was it a journey to get to the point where you really feel I belong among that group?
Let me tell you a secret, Reem. I was like, when I got the world championship medal, when I made the top 4, and I was like, we're already getting on the podium to take the medals. I was crying. From it, like crying literally. If you really zoomed in, I couldn't believe it. I was like standing. I don't know why I'm crying. Like how I'm even standing here. I used to watch this from being in the audience, watching it, hoping that I can even make it closer to like 3 rounds closer to that. And now I'm just getting the medals. Like right next to me is one of the legends of the sports who won the last 3 Olympics, 3 gold medals in the past 3 Olympics. Like we're like right next to each other. We both got bronze. So it's like those people that I used I really would like trying to chase them to get a signature, to get a photo with them. I was really, it was really touching. It was like, then now when I think about it, I still feel like it doesn't really matter. Everything you accomplish is in the past. I always think about it that way. Every day this competition is going to start. Everybody's going to start the competition from the zero, right? It doesn't matter. Nobody remembers what you got. It's not going to make a difference now. It's going to make a difference what's going to end up being after this tournament. And then whatever happens, and then reset. And it doesn't matter. Also, I try to think about it. Like it doesn't matter how good I trained, how bad I trained. Okay, practice time is over. It's exam day. Whatever. You just got to do your best to make it work. I think that I always say that the person who wins, who like ended up getting gold, is the person who did less mistakes in the day. Who is the person who adjusted a lot, like the most with all the circumstances that's gonna come up, either with referees, either with his body, hers, with his opponent, with whatever, with the pressure. So whoever is gonna adjust better is gonna end up getting a better result. So I try to make the best out of the day, try to adjust and try to make it work. And whatever happens, it's already planned. Got to already plan that. So that's not going to change. But it's my job to fight and just to make it to the best.
Yeah, I like that. So you have 3 bouts of 3 minutes. That's kind of how
yes. In sabre, we don't really have that because it's really fast. So we fence up to 15. And then after 8, whoever reach 8 first, we just take a minute break and then we continue to 15.
But it's fairly short, right? Because it's so quick.
It's short, yeah. It goes like the bout might take like, but of course, but with the stopping between the touches, things like that, it can go up to like 6 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Maybe sometimes 10 minutes. It depends how much you stop. But like in the other weapons, you're right. It's 3 minutes and 3 periods, right? And but 3 minutes of fencing, so it doesn't count. Like when you stop, the time doesn't keep going up. So it's 3 minutes, so a total of 9 minutes.
So for you, the concentration level must be off the charts because it's like so intense and so fast in such a small period of time, and then you're out. It's a knockout system also, right? Like you play someone, you lose, you don't have any other opportunity to advance.
Exactly.
So the mental training part of that, like what do you do to manage that level of concentration?
I try to really like between the bouts, I try to always reset. I try to like, okay, it's a new bout. It doesn't matter. Like even if I won the last bout like 15-14, and it was really this, I try to reset because it doesn't matter. The new bout is gonna start. I try to reset even like after the bout, straight after the bout. For example, from 64 to the 32 or 32 to 16 between the bout. As soon as the bout over, I try to just take off my stuff, put on a nice shirt, like other shirt, like clean shirt, like not sweaty. if the weather is good outside, I'll try to just get a 5 minute outside, maybe a cup of coffee or something, and try to relax, think like, okay, and then get in. It's a new day. I'm starting again. And then put on my stuff, start warming up, see my physio. We do some exercises, some mobility, fence a little bit with, like as a warm up with with one of my teammates or something, or even the coach, take a little lesson, and then think about the plan for this bout, and then start again. Because in sabre, like if you're really not focused, you can literally lose like 4 or 5 points. You can be 5-0 in less than 30 seconds. You can be 5 points down in less than 30 seconds.
So for people who don't know the sport, what do you think is the most challenging part of your sport? Like what's so unique to your particular sport that makes it very challenging?
It's very challenging mentally and physically. We call fencing is the physical chess game. So you have to really think about your opponent. What is their coming move? And then not only think, do you have to train like really hard that your body executes what you want without thinking. Like I'm not gonna tell my back leg needs to move a little step back and my front leg needs, and then I have to really push and reach further. If I think about that, then I forget the game. Then I forget I'm not seeing my opponent. So my body has the muscle memory has to be really on point. Like just getting it right away. As soon as I give a signal that this is where I want to hit, this is how fast I want to go. Like I have to go really fast without thinking.
Okay. So you mentioned Tokyo. I want to talk a little bit about it in detail. What was that experience like? Because I'm sure with the Olympics, when you go for the first time, it's a dream in itself, right?
Yes.
But also you mentioned that you were very disappointed after. Can you tell me a little bit more about what Tokyo was like for you?
Well, first of all, I had like two other chances to qualify before Tokyo. I was really young. In 2016, no, not 2012, like we had a chance that our team, our sabre team, can qualify to the Olympics. And I was actually the fourth on the team. The fourth is the alternate. I was a kid. Like I had
you were
no
17, right? Like
I was really young, and I was like, just being an alternate. If the team qualifies, just getting to the Olympic Village, and then. Like unfortunately, like with like a lot of things went at that time, didn't work out, and the team didn't qualify, so I didn't go. And then in Rio, we had a really bad. So we used to have 2 missing medals in the Olympics. So every cycle of Olympics, they take two of the main events, like they take it off the list. So at Rio, we only had. Individuals, so there was no team. So only one person from Egypt can qualify, and I was supposed to be that person. And then I just had to fence the African Championship, and then unfortunately things didn't work well. I lost 15-14 on 1 point, so I didn't qualify. So I didn't go to Rio. So I was kind of like getting disappointed that like my like when am I gonna? But I went to the Youth Olympic Games in 2010, but it's not the same. It's totally different. And then Tokyo worked out. I was happy. I'm super excited to get there, and then COVID hits. I was like, what's happening? And then as soon as we get there, I was really happy. I enjoyed everything since we just entered the Olympic Village. I just had that feeling. I always like talk to my teammates about it that were there with me. Like we look at the pictures, and it's amazing. Fence even we did really well in the team event, because I think all of us were really excited that we're in the Olympics and we wanted to do great. Like we beat teams that we never beat before. We beat Japan. We beat before, but like I'm saying, we beat Japan, and unluckily we had to fence Korea, which is number 1. The number 1 seed was very strong in top 8, we lost 45-39, which is not a big difference. And then after that, we fenced for places. We beat Russia. We beat Iran. So we technically like won like 3 out of 4 very strong teams. And the only bout we lost was very close against the number 1 seed. And we ended up getting 5th. So it just, until now, I still remember, and I'm still happy about it. It just made me leave with a good experience. Didn't get the medal, but I was really happy, and I think I'm blessed just to being like part of that great team, the Egyptian team, and just being in the Olympics. And I hope next one in Paris, just I can add a little, like more addition to the team too with the medal.
So I'll take you back a little bit. You went from Alexandria after high school straight to Detroit to
Yes.
study at Wayne State University. And I can only imagine what the difference from going from Alex to Detroit.
To Detroit.
So what was that like? Did you always have in mind that you wanted to go to the States and be a student athlete and all that, or did it just happen? And what was it like when you got there?
I just get back again to my mom. She was the reason that I didn't want to travel, to be honest. I just, because everything was like, was like, I just liked my routine. I just had everything, and everything was going smooth. Like I have my trainers, I have my friends, like even my school, like they understand that I travel a lot. Most of the time I'm spending in Caribou for camps, and everything was going well. And as soon as I get back, like everything is easy in order. I don't have to worry about like cooking or anything. It just, everything was in place, right? I was happy about it. But then I think my mom, it was my mom again. She's the one who thought about it. She sent me to the U.S. for camps, for actually one camp during my senior year. And then most of the college coaches will go to the World Championship and try to recruit. And let's say that I was actually the first Egyptian saber fencer that ever get a scholarship to the U.S. and compete in the NCAAs. So it wasn't like a common thing. It wasn't like I knew somebody that I would ask like how did it look like or anything like that. And then I did go. My mom decided was like talk to me. It was like it's a good opportunity and everything. And then again, my dad was the person to convince me. It's like, you know what, just go for the first semester. Maybe like your first year, you didn't like it, you still have your spot back here. You go to college back here with your friends, no problem. Just go and try it out, see if you like it. And then I did go. It was very challenging at the beginning. I didn't like it. I just felt like, because I was telling you my routine was like very important to me. I know like my mom was taking care of like a lot of things, like, you know, like how we have like private tutors that comes to your place and then help you in school and things like that. So it wasn't, and when I went there, I was like, I have to go to class on time. I have to write notes. And then if you're like 1 minute to practice, like the coach will ask you, like, why are you late? I was like, it's a minute. I just get, but like, it's a different culture. Also, like, even just your friends, like, you know, like the way we talk, the way we make jokes in Egypt is different, right? And it was kind of like a little challenging for me because I wasn't feeling like, okay, I'm adapting really fast. And I was very close of telling my dad, like, okay, I'm like, let me just go back. And then this is what happened. This is where it happened that my dad passed away. And then I actually went to Egypt for a little bit. And I was in Russia. I was in Russia for a World Cup. And then my mom, like, they asked me like to go to Egypt from Russia because they told me that my grandma is sick. They didn't want to tell me the truth. So when I went back home, I just realized that my dad passed away. And it took me like good 2 weeks that I wasn't even responding to the phone. Like my coach and everything back there in the US, they were just texting me. It was like, because I was supposed to only go for a weekend in Russia for a World Cup and just get back. So I wasn't showing up for 2 weeks and they don't know what's happening to me. And then after 2 weeks, I start asking myself, okay, so what's next? Am I just going to stay here or live with my mom and everything? Or am I going to go back and accept the challenge? And this is where everything changed. That I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go back and I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make my dad proud. And I went back and then things started getting different. I was really focused more on school, like trying. I was at the beginning, I wasn't really trying hard because I thought if it didn't work out, I'm not happy. I'm just going to go back. I was a little bit, like, I would say now, like, I was thinking like I was being too spoiled, like in my way of thinking. I was like, I was just taking it the easy way. But then I decided, no, I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to make it work. And thank God, like I was able to like get everything work and like even in fencing wise, like my team at Wayne State when I get there, it wasn't as competitive as the other schools. Like our other schools like were really like very strong. Like you competing with Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, which is like they have really big teams, like multiple staff and things like that. But I challenged and I thank God I ended up like getting like hitting records that are like getting to final at NCAA twice and things start changing. Like I wasn't even want to show up to practice, and then it ended up like the whole campus is watching me in final NCAAs on big screens on campus, and like the universities like making new advertising for like their new logo and putting my pictures on billboards on the highway, and it just ended up being my place. So I always say Detroit was my second home. I have a big love for Detroit.
That's incredible, because if people don't know, like NCAA's is the biggest college, it's the main championship for colleges there. And you just said that your university wasn't necessarily the kind of the top program. And you making it to 2 finals, you were runner-up twice. That is incredible. I can only imagine the fuss around it.
And actually the last one I lost on 1 point. I really wanted to maybe be an NCAA champion. It was 1 point, but it's okay. It is what it is. Can't change.
So how did you end up in Connecticut? Like, what did you do after graduate? So you have a degree in engineering, right? That was your
mechanical engineering, yes.
Yeah. So then, just tell me how it was after graduating and how you ended up in Connecticut.
So after graduation, I decided I did like a little bit. I did internships as a mechanical engineer. I worked a little bit, but then after I graduated in bachelor's 2018, I decided, okay, it's time for me. What am I going to do? I need to pick. Am I going to pursue my dream of Olympics, and which is I really wanted it. So I decided, yes, this is what I want. I'll keep my dream alive and just like try to do the best until the end. So I moved to Dallas to practice with one of the best coaches, a Korean coach that moved to the U.S. So I moved to Dallas for a year, practiced with him. Tried to make went to the World Cups with the team, so we can qualify, and we actually did qualify, worked well, and then after a year, I was back and forth. I went to Egypt for camps, and we stayed in Egypt for 6 months to prepare for the Olympics, things like that, and then and then after that, I decided, okay, like the best saber fencing, like the top fencers in the country, they practice in New York. So I decided, okay, I need more practice to have like very strong opponents to practice with. So I moved to New York to practice with the U.S. Olympic team, also back and forth. And then after Olympics, I went back. I was like during COVID, I was back and forth to Detroit because I was doing my master's. So and after my master's, me and Nouran got married. And then when we get married, we decided, okay, we didn't know where we're gonna live, but it was also challenging because Nouran, we wanted like to find the right place for Nouran too, so she can continue practicing and finding like the right coach, the right team, and try to make the same, like her atmosphere, the same things that she has in Egypt with fitness coach and everything here in the U.S. It was a little challenge. She came a couple of times to try different places and everything. And then it ended up, we ended up finding, like she ended up finding like the right team for her in Connecticut, which I practice and work in New York, which is a very easy commute to 20 minutes or something. Or if I'm going to the city, it's like an hour, but it's not a big deal. So that's when we decided to move to Connecticut.
Okay. I think this is a perfect time to bring Nouran, your wife, Nouran Gohar. Please join us.
Can I grab her?
If you don't mind grabbing her. Nouran, welcome to Abtal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm very happy you could join us in this conversation. So you recently were in Chicago, where you made the final. And Ziad, you were in Italy, where you got a bronze medal. So you both are now back in Connecticut. I can only imagine what your schedules are like.
We're home.
I don't know for how long.
As soon as she gets back and she finds me home, we're like, we're home.
So just the insanity of your schedules, with both of you really at the elite level of your sports. Nouran, you were world number 1. You're now in the top 3. You're always, mashallah, in finals. So you make it deep in the tournaments. Very rarely do you leave early. Alhamdulillah, knock on wood. And Ziad, also, you're doing amazing. So I'm just wondering, how do you guys make it work? Like, how does all this work?
We still don't have an answer for that. No, I think the challenging part is that usually you find couples in sports, but they play the same sport, so their schedule is kind of the similar. But for us, it's so challenging because we play different sports, and both our schedules are very busy. Like every person by itself, they have like a crazy schedule. So imagine like a crazy schedule and another crazy schedule, and you put them together. And then sometimes it works well that we have tournaments at the same time, but sometimes it's really bad when it overlaps. Like I come back and he's like traveling, and then he comes back and I'm about to travel, and most of the time that's the case. I don't know, we need to talk to PSA and FIE about this to coordinate things.
Maybe another merger, a merger between this tour and this tour, fencing and squash.
One of the things I don't like about squash, that her tournament takes 10 days.
Yeah.
She goes away for 10 days. I only go away for like 3-4 days.
But you substitute like the 10
for
days
camps.
By camps.
Yeah,
like he has like 5-6 days of camp, or like it should be 2 weeks of camp, and then the tournament is only 2 days, so it ends up being the same. And if we do the math, like if I'm playing 10, I don't know, we play from 12 to 14 tournaments a year, and 10 days, so that's like 140 days. Same for him. And so, yeah.
Where's the rest of the year?
Yeah. Like we were meeting actually people 2 days ago, and we were trying to schedule this meeting for like about 2 months and a half or something.
It's easier that I schedule an appointment for myself and she does something for herself, but both of us together, like, it's always challenging.
We're like, you guys are very special to us.
No. Now I feel actually like super special. Forget your friends. I'm talking about me now. I can't believe I have you both. I think this is awesome. But then what's the trick of not letting it get to you, of kind of just like, what's the mentality? I'm curious what the mindset is like.
Well, what we try to do is when we find time together,
I want to say something. Yeah. It gets to
See, I never get a chance to talk.
No, but saying that it's all perfect, and because usually people are like, oh my god, that's amazing, that's super sweet, that's so impressive, blah blah blah, which is, alhamdulillah, it is, and we're very grateful for that. But it gets to you and you feel it sometimes, and you feel like, especially if you're not doing well in your sport, like if, for example, I lose a match that I shouldn't be losing, or I lose a tournament even, or whatever, I come back, I'm very depressed. And if he doesn't do very well in a tournament, he comes back, and then you feel like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it, all of that? And obviously it is, but during the moment, you feel like...
It's the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm dying. My career is over. I'm doing really bad.
Not my career and my life, because I'm putting our life on the line. Like,
yeah. And that's one of the things I told Nouran is like, from the beginning, is it doesn't, because she really gets emotional. If she's a hard worker. She's one of the, honestly, I'm saying that I've been with athletes like all my life, but like just the way she practiced and the way she put in work and schedule her stuff, and it's impressive. I think I can't do what she's doing, to be honest. It's a little too much. She's very organized. She has to plan like 3 to 4 sessions every day, and she does all of that. And then before the tournament, she's like, Ziad, I'm not feeling great. I don't think I've prepared well. I was like, Nouran, don't say that, because if you say that, I should kill myself. I barely the day of practice is like a week of my practice. One day of your practice is just a whole week of mine. So what I told her is, it doesn't matter what we do, we win or we lose. We have to just come back and reset. We just come back. We just try to enjoy our time together. And just go on what's next. This is not the end of life. This is not the only thing that is gonna make us successful, right? So we won this. It's good. It's a bonus. We'll take it. We didn't win it. We'll just up to the next one, and let's just enjoy our time to the next one. So we kind of little getting better on this. It's not it's not easy. It's very challenging, but we try because depends. Like maybe this one is very important to me. Maybe this important is really important for her for like towards the ranking, towards some other stuff. It's always a little challenging, but
yeah. I'm sure you're learning along the way as well. It's going to keep.
You're
adjusting the whole time. So I'm sure a lot of people are curious because you just mentioned most couples in sport are in the same sport. So how did a fencer end up marrying a squash player? How did you meet?
Everyone, when they see us, they're like, "How did you guys meet?" Through sports, actually. So through a sport event we met, and then and then he was in the US anyways, and I was in Egypt. So we're like, okay, like, and then when he and we started talking actually during COVID, because we had a lot of time to waste.
We're a COVID couple.
COVID couple. I like that.
We had a lot of time, and that's when we started really talking, and started clicking from there.
Yeah, okay. we didn't have anything to do other than that. And then when it was still COVID when he came back. And when he came like when flights were back, he came back to Egypt. I didn't know he was coming back actually. He surprised me, and then like things started from there. Like we started going out, and then got engaged, and then got married.
And then she ended up being here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, this is for both of you, but what's the coolest part about being married to an athlete and the most challenging part of being married to an athlete?
Okay, you start.
I start. You start.
I start?
Ladies first.
Okay. I've always like, I was like, I'm not gonna get married to a squash player because that's too much squash in my life. Like, but at the same time, no one is going to understand the dynamics of an athlete other than an athlete. So, and on a high level as well. And for me, when I was talking to Ziad about it, I don't need to explain to him things. I'm like, I'm feeling that way, and then he can get it right away. And so I think that's the coolest part, that you don't need to express yourself about sports. Like, he will get it. He will get it. Okay, now I know she's feeling that way. Or I go back from practice and I'm very angry. I'm like, I practiced so bad, or I'm feeling very down. Someone else would be like, she's making a big deal out of it. It's just a bad practice, you know. But he knows how important this is for me. So this is one thing. The bad thing is
it's too much sports in there.
It's too much. Sometimes,
it's too much.
Sometimes you like it that it's not technical. He talks to me more like emotionally or mentally, more mentally, I would say. But then sometimes Ziad, because he's a coach himself, so he's like kind of coaching me like in a mental way. And I'm like, you know what, just
I already have a coach. Let's talk about something else.
I was like, I don't want to talk to coaches right now. No, but I think the positive of it is bigger than the negative. Yeah, I feel like so much support. Like, I feel like I can go to him and like just tell him whatever I feel, and he's gonna understand that. So I think this is,
for me, I think the coolest part is because I like sports, I love it. I love watching her play. Like, I like that, like, you know, like...
No, like, when I decided, I was like, I'm thinking of retiring. He's like, no, you're not. You're never gonna retire. I'm like...
I just love going to her games and watch. It's for me, like, it's way better than you tell me, let me take you to a nice trip somewhere. For me, I just love it. It's a time that I really enjoy, because I'm very competitive. You know, one of the fans of Al-Ahli, when they watch, and I'm kind of like the same. So I'm really into it. So I love watching. So this part, I hopefully I don't want it to end, because I always want to go with her to competition and watch her play and watch her like succeed. This is the part I really like about. The other part, the hard part, is
it's dealing with her when she loses.
Of course, dealing with her when she loses is very hard. But it's also it's a little bit of sports, you know. Sometimes I think like you just want to get home and just like find your normal marriage life, you know, like you're the couple, someone who's just thinking about something else. But like it's ended up she's coming back from practice, she's upset, she's not really, or I come back from a trip, from a World Cup or something, coming back to my home, right? And then I open the door and there's nobody waiting for me. It's just me. That really hits me really hard. That it makes me feel like I need somebody now. I want somebody to talk to. I want Nouran to be there, but she's competing, and then I have to like get myself mentally to like start opening my iPad, watch her play again, which is I'm already done with like sport. I just want to take a little break, but I have to get myself back in that, and then talk to her and try to always make her feel positive or something. Which is I'm not really positive at that moment, but like, and this is the hard part for me.
Okay. It's interesting because both of you are in individual sports, and I speak to so.
We're very competitive. We get competitive in everything.
In everything, actually.
So I speak to so many athletes, and they tell me, especially the ones who are in individual sports, is that you're taught to be selfish. Like if you need to, for the lack of a better word, but you need to be selfish and think about yourself.
This is actually a very good topic because we talked about this at the very beginning, like when we were still like getting to know each other. I was like, to be a successful individual athlete, you have to be selfish. You have to think about yourself. You have to, but I think, and surprisingly, I was like, I haven't seen like the giver part in me. Like it's always about me. It's always like everyone is about me. Like my environment, is Nouran okay? Is Nouran, she's doing this, she's doing that. I never thought about someone else in my life in general, and until I met Ziad, obviously. But then surprisingly, the switch like happened normal. Like yeah, it's like I never thought I would be super stressed or anything when I watched someone. Until I started watching Ziad actually at the World Championship. Remember your fitness coach? I was sitting next to him. It was the quarterfinal. So if you would have won this match, you would medal for the first time ever in history. And then I was literally like dying. Like I was like on the floor. Like, and the fitness coach went to Ziad after the match. He was like, "I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about her. She's gonna go to the hospital." And he's the thing, like my coach come to me and he's like complaining about Ziad and how like he's super stressed, he needs to calm down. He's like, we need to educate Ziad how to calm down and how to watch a proper squash match. So I don't know, when you start caring about someone, I think the selfishness go away. I think so. I don't know, but it's a very important part because we were afraid about that actually.
Yeah.
Like simply, like it's very hard to believe that you're gonna like love seeing someone win more than yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. But I can only imagine that you never imagined that, and then it happens.
Yeah, I never imagined that. Like I'll be happy for someone like to win more than myself. But like I think because we really care about each other, it just happens. So like if I lose in a tournament and then all of a sudden she's still competing and she wins, we bring a win home. It's fine. And the other person, and that actually helps the other person just get back, stand up, and like try to work harder. We do fitness together, so I come back from tournament, I'm a little disappointed. She dragged me like, wake up, we have to go work out. It's like no. She's like, no, we're going to work out. And actually, when I do the opposite, so it's kind of really helped. I think this is the blessing of having another athlete with you, because if it was only me, I wouldn't wake up and just go.
Yeah. So Ziad, you would be the perfect person to give us an idea. You already touched on it, talking about Nouran's dedication. But for someone who's as consistent as Nouran, I know you were recently injured and all that, but in general, the numbers you were putting up over the last few years have been incredible. Ziad, what does it take in your eyes? What does it take for Nouran to achieve all that? You can see, because behind the scenes, what comes in your mind when you're seeing her making all these finals, winning all these tournaments, especially as an athlete? You probably have a deeper appreciation for that than just someone like me who's just watching. So how do you see all that, and what makes Nouran? I know it's difficult. I don't know if it's difficult talking in front of her. I'm sure it's not. Just tell me.
That's fine.
What is the most special thing about Nouran that makes her able to do what she does?
It goes back to what I told you. Like, I've never seen an athlete. I've been with athletes all my life, like fencers, other sports. I've never seen someone that dedicated. Like, even the way she prepare, pack her bag before going to practice is impressive for me. Like, she has 2 pairs of shoes in case the shoes broke. She has like five, six t-shirts. Everything she has like spare in case something happened. It's only for practice. Like it's very organized. She goes and then she she has like she would like literally tell me, okay, I have fitness. She starts her day at 6 a.m. I was like, we can start at 7. It's nothing's gonna change. Just like an extra hour of sleep. No. She likes to go. Even that. What made me more surprised that she had the same routine back home in Egypt, which is not normal.
Yeah.
Not normal in Egypt. It's not normal. Here in the U.S. I can understand a little bit, but in Egypt, it's not. She's like, I like to finish everything when people are still sleeping, and I go back and everybody's just still starting their day. So she goes, does her fitness. She goes, like even practicing solo. Like she has like solo practice, team practice, games, playing with her coach, and then going to the physical therapist, doing recovery. I was like, Nouran, like you shouldn't, like it's not, you shouldn't do all 4 or 5 of them every day. Like, but she's like, and she's very dedicated. And when she goes, the reset, because sometimes I go with her, we go together. I go with her to play squash, and then we go to the physical therapy together, the physical therapist together. Like, when she goes to the physical therapist as if she's starting like a new session. It's not, she's not affected from the previous one. Like when I go there, I'm already dead. She goes there and she's ready to exercise again as if it's the start of the day. And she goes back, she comes back home, she has her own routine. She wakes up the next day. She doesn't get bored. She doesn't get bored of it. She loves it. Which is, I think, is very hard to do it with that intensity and still enjoy it, enjoy every moment of it.
And it must be very inspiring too. I'm sure it's motivating for you.
I feel ashamed. I feel like it's like I gotta wake up. I gotta do something. Sometimes I go because I feel bad about myself. I swear, I feel bad about myself. It's like, but then I used to I used to tease her. I was like, but I'm an Olympian. I'm an Olympian. Well, you can be the world number 1, but you're not an Olympian. I'm an Olympian.
We're gonna get to that because she
can't do this anymore.
We're gonna get to that because she could very well become an Olympian. Huh?
No, one time I told him, I was like, listen, I'm gonna get squash into the Olympics.
She wasn't joking.
And she did.
That wasn't the reason, but I mean, like.
Yeah. But she really, when she puts her head in something, she has to do. Like she really wants. She either really focus on it and do it perfect, or she doesn't care about it. She doesn't do it at all.
Same with people.
See, she's like, she either loves. She's that kind of a person, which is, I think, she's the 2 extremes.
Yeah. So Nouran,
I'm a Libra.
I like that. So Nouran, you tell me. I'll ask you the same question. Like, what makes Ziad
nothing? Trust me, nothing. Normal person.
No, so like he thinks the routine and like having consistent schedule and being very stubborn with it or very systematic, I would say, obviously is a big part of my life. But I think. Because he's more like
I like to enjoy it. I like to enjoy life.
He's like he showed me another part of being more flexible, if that's a right word. Like, okay, it's okay if this didn't happen. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like, if someone messed with my routine, it's like, oh my god.
If she did 3 practices instead of 4 per day, she would come back home upset.
No, I remember.
I was like, that really doesn't matter. That you're just gonna do it tomorrow. It's not a big deal.
No, I remember one time my coach like. I went to practice and I was like burnt out. Like I was super tired and he was like, Nouran, listen, you need to go back home. Like it's done. Like there is no practice today. And then I called Ziad back. I was like, no. Let's even do like a light session or anything. And then I called Ziad. I was like, I'm not gonna practice. I cannot do this. He's like, calm down. Just so I think having this flexibility makes you think more or like be like open to changes or which I wasn't that kind of a person. Like I like things to be the same all the time. So and when you change, you evolve as a person as well. So I think that helped me like in my life in general. Like okay, like it's not always so for me. It's like black or white. And life is all about gray. And I think it's more about life than squash, I would say, or like, but it helps you on court as well. Like sometimes you go on court and your plan A is not working. And then you try your plan B, it's not working. But then you have to have C, D, E, you have to have all the other letters as well. And I think, like, having this in life in general, it affected me on court as well. So I can go on court and I'm like, okay, it's okay. You don't need to panic. If it's not working, then there's another solution. So I think this really helped me.
Like I'm the total opposite. Like for example, like I'm like
he doesn't have a plan A.
No. Like for example, that's because she's very organized. She thinks that I have no plan. I mean, I understand. I understand from her perspective. I definitely like if I'm like her, then I'm definitely doing nothing. So for example, if I'm up, like I have practice, I have a scheduled practice today, like fencing practice, but like. I just felt that I felt my body that it's not going to perform well in practice. It's not. So all of a sudden, instead of me, and I know that if I'm going to drive for an hour and get there and plus traffic, maybe 1 hour, I'm going to get there like exhausted. It's not going to be worth it. So I do the opposite. I was like, okay, I tried to put myself in a good mood, go get a nice cup of coffee and call my fitness coach and say, he's like 15 minutes away from home. You know what? Do you have time? I'll stop by to do a little workout and put myself instead of driving for an hour. Like the whole process is gonna take me an hour 30 minutes, and I'm just gonna go work out and come back. I'm gonna feel better about myself. And the next day, I'm gonna be more excited to go to fencing practice. But if I've gone to fencing practice that day, I was gonna be very exhausted. I was gonna spend 5 hours of my day, and I'm not gonna benefit. And the next day, I'm not gonna be excited to go again. Mm-hmm. So I try. That's the point. That's me. That's how I think about it. Like I told you earlier. Remember about competition? Yeah. It doesn't matter how good you practiced. It doesn't matter what happened. It's over. Practice time is over. Now it's exam. It's exam time. Yeah. Just whatever you got. Use everything you got. Use everything you have. All your experience. All the time you've been working hard. Bring it all together and try to adjust and fight and just stay in the best mood as long as possible and adjust with the mistakes as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you guys, it's interesting because it's almost you balance each other out in certain things, and which I think is very cool. Obviously, a huge part of any sport is losing. And Nouran, I spoke to you in the past about this a lot, is that you really struggle with the idea of losing, which I know sounds like a basic thing for any athlete, but it's a process, right? To know how to lose, because especially in a sport like squash, it's kind of similar to tennis. You have so many tournaments and you lose on the Sunday or whatever, and then you're back on court the Monday. So, Ziad, have you helped, or Nouran, you tell me, has Ziad managed to help you a little bit change your perspective towards losing, or is it still super hard?
I think he tries. I also have my coach, but there's something.
It got much better. Let me tell you, it got much better. I did help.
You want some credit?
No. It really got much better. I like before when she loses, I try to avoid like just even calling her because it's gonna be this out. Now it's normal. Now I can call her. She can talk.
No,
I
can actually call you after.
Oh, now she can call. Before she can stay like if I don't call her and like I have like we wouldn't talk.
No, I wouldn't even reply. Like he would call. I was like,
text. She wouldn't even respond.
Yeah.
So now you can lose and call him.
No, I do. The first, actually, I do call 2 people, like my mom and Ziad. Okay. My mom knows what to tell me. I think she knows me very, very well, more than anyone else. And obviously Ziad, because I need this like emotional support. So I was like, I call him after. And it reminds me that, okay, squash is a part of your life, but then there is another important person in your life as well. And I feel this balance helped me a bit, but sometimes it gets much better, sometimes it gets less better, sometimes it's like still, I would say it's still work in progress. But also my coach, like right now, it really helped me. He's like, you know, when you lose, that's when you're sure you're gonna do much better the next time. That's when you're gonna learn from your mistakes. But if you win, you should be like afraid from the next match because you think you're the best in the world, or you're like, so you're actually, that's not when you learn. But he's like, when you lose, nothing worse can happen. Next time it's gonna be better. So I think this also changed a bit of the perspective, as well as the hard work that Ziad had put in at home. This guy was like punching back for me for so long. And then sometimes I can get a bit crazy as well. I go like, when you did this. It's like, what does it have with the match? Like,
everything gets mixed up suddenly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like he always says that, like, when someone meets me, he's like, she looks so nice, so cute. He's like, you don't see her when she gets angry. Like,
run away, run. Hi.
So there's a photo I remember. I think it's from World Tour Finals last year. For this one.
Oh my God!
Can you tell me the story? Tell me. Basically, the photo is Ziad is doing this. I'm assuming it's
they made a whole story around it. Like what?
Oh, really?
The story was that I won the match, but it was like the longest match ever in history, in women's history. It was like 130-minute match. So imagine being on court for 2 hours and 10 minutes. This is like crazy. And like in Egypt, outdoor, like I think the temperature was like 40 or something. So last match of the season, after an incredible season, very bad refereeing. and then, so I got very emotional. Like after, I never like cry after I win a match. Like I never had this. And then the MC was asking me, and I was like crying. And then I looked at Ziad, and he was doing this like smile. And then, but people started doing like a whole story behind it, like she was actually losing during the match, and he made her this smile, made her win, and which is fine. I mean, obviously he supported me big time, but
yeah. But that's why I wanted to ask you. I wanted to know the story because I know the photo, but it could be anything, right? So I wanted to know.
No, but I mean, the photographer is super talented as well to take, like, the timing was perfect.
I mean, we didn't know about it. I didn't even know I did that. We just woke up the next day. We just found it like all over the place. Like
crazy about this, and then Ziad became like the most popular husband in the world, like in Egypt. Like he's like, and then like girls started like mentioning their husbands or their boyfriends or whatever, and they're like, see how supportive he is, not like you. And I'm like, why did we get into relationship problems now? Yeah, tell your opinion about this picture.
No, I was honestly, this is one of the matches that I would always remember. I was super proud of how she adjusted. This was a real example of adjusting, because I know how hard it gets when you start. Can you imagine, like, you win the point for like 3-4 times and win the champion and win the whole tournament, and you don't get it. You feel like there is something really like someone is against you, is not letting you win, and you keep fighting and you keep trying to get there, which is also I know the personality. I know Nouran. She wouldn't easily like adjust to this. It was like, okay, you're doing this. I'm not like she would get upset, and she wouldn't. She was like, okay, it's over. But like the way she fought, which is not even once or twice, very hard after a long match, after a long season, like struggling on court, trying to get there, trying to get the ball, trying to win the point, and redoing the point again. It was a lesson, honestly, a lesson for me, because I wouldn't think that even in fencing, that if that happened to me like 2 times, I would keep going. But the way she kept going till the end and she won was very impressive. And for me, I just did this because I don't think she deserves to like even be upset for a second. She should be proud of herself. That I was super proud of her. I was super proud of how she adjusted, how she fought all the way till the end without giving up a second, and then ended up winning. I think she should be smiling. So I was like, I didn't want her to cry or even be upset for 1 second. I wanted to smile and just get happy and feel how blessed like God supported her and like give her the strength to go until the end and win that.
That was incredibly gritty. I know exactly what I was watching. I know it was very gritty. So I'm conscious of your time, so I'm going to try and wrap this up soon. Nouran, you were part of the official presentation that squash made that ended up getting squash into the Olympics finally for LA 2028. I don't think a lot of people know, like from the outside, that everyone's excited that squash is going to be in the Olympics. But I just wanted, from your perspective, what was it like for you being part of that, and yeah, how did it happen?
So yeah, I mean, everyone knows that squash tried many times to get into the Olympics, and we never really managed to get into that. And especially, I think that the most critical one was like London 2012. Like squash is super big in the UK, and it was like hard for us. Like we were like, if that was the chance, then it would have been London. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot that was going on there, and then I remember the CEO of PSA, he approached me I think a week or something before the presentation, and they were like, we need an athlete representative for the presentation, and we'd love you to do it if you have the time. And I thought, yeah, for sure, that's amazing. That's such a prestigious thing for me to be part of that. But you know, when you have in the back mind, you're like, are we really gonna make it? Like, like, and that was like a year ago before they announced that squash. It was like October 2021. No, it was like 2022. 2022. Sorry. Yeah. So it was a year, and then we waited a year to know that if we're gonna get into there or not. And then we did the presentation. It was amazing, and the LA 2028 committee was super nice, super like knowledgeable, and it was a very nice experience in itself. And then we were waiting, like they were like, okay, we're gonna respond in 2-3 months, we're gonna respond in 6 months, because it takes time, all of these things. And I just forgot about it. I was like, okay. If it does it, it does it. If it doesn't, like I didn't really, you know, when you dream and then it doesn't happen, and you dream again and it doesn't happen, so you just forget about it because you don't want to get disappointed again and again and again. And then I got actually so few days I think 2 days before the official announcement, one of the LA 2028 members of the committee texted me, and she's like, I'm super excited about the news, and I just wanted you to know that squash is into the Olympics, and we can't wait to see you compete in 2028. It was just like, I couldn't believe it for a second. I was like, no, it didn't happen. But yeah, it's. I think that's the least that squash deserves, and especially the athletes that play the sport. Like, as Ziad said, like I think we work so hard to get into the level where we're playing right now, especially the women as well. Like we really raise the bar very, very high, and I feel like we should get the chance to showcase to the world how squash looks like, and how athletic we are. How obviously I'm very biased to squash, but I think that's the least that deserves to be in the Olympics. Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, I want to ask Ziad something. Being married to a female athlete, has it opened your eyes at all towards inequalities in sport in general? Have you seen something that you probably wouldn't have looked at in terms of, you know how it is? I don't know how conscious of it you were before, but has it opened your eyes to certain inequalities in sport once you married Nouran?
I think there's it's a tricky part, because I think people just look at it from the outside, and just when they, for example, like if they look at the squash game for men's and women's, and you see the speed, and you see like how long the squash, like for example, when I watch squash, like men's squash play, I feel that the court is too small for them. They can get the ball from anywhere, and then I think now that's why a lot of people like watching women's squash now, because like you can see like, oh, the ball is really far.
You can see the tactics more, it's more evident.
But so I think a lot of people they like make their judgment just from the outside. But when you start seeing like how hard they practice, and how hard they put in and how hard they have like the routine of and the challenge of getting there, it's not easier. It's actually more challenging than maybe for men's side. I didn't see that part. unless when I start living with Nouran like closely, and then I start seeing how she deals with it, how she deals with her emotions, and how she gets back on court, and how it's just not as it's very impressive. It's very impressive. Like you saying, like for us, like for guys, like I wouldn't go to practice. Fine, it's gonna be fine next day. But like she's really keen about like everything, every small detail, and I think if I had like her like routine or like dedication level, I think I'll be even better, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
So now that squash is officially going to LA 2028, it's still 4 years away. But how quickly did it become a dream for you both, that you both want to be there? Are you committing to that? Are you trying to make that happen?
She decided.
I didn't decide anything actually, but I was like, obviously, we don't know like if we were still gonna compete for another 4 years. We hope so. I think we're still young in terms of age, but again, like I think sports is like an addiction. I think like it's like a drug. It's like winning is like a drug. Winning sports in general, not really, but winning is like a drug. And then when you lose, you start questioning, right? And you're like, okay, is it really worth it? And then you win something really big, and then you forget about everything else. And so, as he said, like LA 2028 into the Olympics, I was like, oh, I'm playing for another 4 years. Done deal. And then, and then he was
like, for me personally, I wouldn't think that I'm going on for another 4 years, or maybe. If I was gonna do it, it wasn't like something like planned that I'm doing this, I'm dedicated to it or something. But like honestly, like when that happened, then me and Nourans start talking about it. There's a little bit of me that says, "Oh, I want this," like why not? And maybe we'll be the first couple to win Olympic medals in different sports and something like that. I don't know if it ever happened before or no, but like I would love that. Like that would bring 2 Olympic medals to home, and home, I mean by our home in Egypt and families and everybody. So if we can do this, it just made me think about it in a different way. So it's kind of like in me, we didn't take, because I like now I'm just thinking about Paris, and I'm just trying to get Nouran thinking about getting her season done, like the way she wants after the injury. I'm thinking about Paris, but then I'm sure that after Paris and that we can have a little time to start digesting it and thinking about it in a better way.
Okay, I get that. So last couple of things. One of them is, Ziad, I wanted to ask you about Alauddin Abu Qasim, because he was Egypt's first medalist in fencing in London 2012.
In London 2012,
yes, he got a silver. How big of I know you were 17 just at the time or something, you were young, but how big of a moment was that for you? And did that play in your mind at all, as that, oh, I want to do that too?
Of course. First of all, me and Alat were really close. We come from the same club. We're like teammates. We practice together, even the national team. He's a superhero, to be honest. Like just the what he brought to the game is incredible. Like just being the first Olympic medalist, like from Egypt and out in the Middle East, and I think
he's from Africa, exactly.
Africa too. It wasn't a thing, especially like the what?
Especially in fencing.
In fencing, yeah, for sure. Like fencing and foil, and it was incredible. And he's super talented. He's super talented, and just being around him just give us. I was with him even before that in 2010 and in the World Championship Juniors when he won. I was always in like one of his biggest fans, like cheering for him, and he always go like I like cheering, like that's I just like that. So he always like, I always hear you when I'm on the strip fencing. So it's so we always like connected. That's one of the other things too. Like in the World Championship when I won the medal and he was there. I never thought that there was gonna be a day that like I medal and he's watching me like fence and I medal, and then like I thought I was always gonna be that guy cheering, right? So it's just impressing, and knowing him, it just give us all, not only me, give us all like it just raised the bar high, made us feel like there's a little bit bright light in the end of the tunnel, like it's there. I mean, it's not easy to get there, but it's there, it's possible. So I think it's great. He's just such a great example for all of us, and I think this is what every athlete would love, to just live a good example and just write like extra like a history for him and for the country, and just keep it always there for everybody.
So obviously, I know the goal for you is you want a medal. That's a no-brainer. But what
Gold.
Gold. You want a gold medal. But what in your mind? Because a lot of like the result is ultimately out of your control. You do your best,
Yes,
and then
yes.
so.
Yes.
What would make Paris a successful Olympics in your eyes? Like win or lose, like what would make it in your mind? Okay, I walk away feeling this was a success.
First of all, I'm thinking about it. I want to get another experience as I got in Tokyo. I want to add one more experience, one more Olympics to my bag. Enjoy it, perform the best on the strip, and just on the strip, I'm not thinking about my dream. My dream is in my back mind. This is what I really want. But I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy every single moment of it. I want to perform in a way that even after that, when I watch myself and when I watch my games, I'm proud of the way I perform. And it stops here.
Okay.
I want to add something about that, like, because I was there watching him at the World Championships, and it was super. I think that was the first time for me to be that close, like watching a tournament, and the way he was like, so he was super focused, but at the same time very relaxed. That was the combo that I think that's when he performs the best.
That's the sweet spot.
Exactly. And I feel like, because when you're too focused, sometimes you get very tense, or very like you're just like tense. But he was like enjoying but very focused. And then sometimes when you're enjoying too much, you get too relaxed, and so you don't have the aggression of winning points or whatever. So I think when he's in this state, he's very hard to beat. And I feel like that's an answer for the question, that if he gets to this mental state, I think he's
and that's why I said like I stop it here, because this is what really puts me in the good mindset of performing. If I said a little more, if I even myself thought about it a little more, it's just gonna be.
He gets more excited.
It's just it's not gonna be right in the middle. It's gonna be either way, a little bit more pressure, more pressure, which I don't need, or more relaxed. So I just wanted to live it here, because this is what. Hopefully, inshallah, this is how I can get there, and this is the mindset that I go with, and this is, and whatever happens, I'm like, thank God, like I feel I'm blessed, and this is God's plan, and if it doesn't come in this, probably God has another plan for me, which is maybe God saves it to LA that we can get it together. But I just whatever happens, it's fine, but I'll just do my best to make the best out of it.
And Nourans, do you think you're going to be able to go? I think it's off season for you at the time. You're going to be able to go?
Yes.
Nouran likes to pick the tournaments. So
I was like, Italy, Paris.
She's like, I like you have a World Cup in Madrid. I like it. I'll come watch this one.
He's like, but there's a more important one in whatever country. I'm like, no. I like this one. I want
the shopping is better there.
Exactly. I was like, I want to buy a bag. Like, he's like, oh my God.
That's actually why she came to the World Championship.
Actually, yeah. I was like, don't worry about me. I'm gonna do my thing. You just focus on your tournament.
But I'm here to support you.
Exactly.
I have my own needs. I'll go get them to that.
Exactly. He would call me. He's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "You have a
no." But actually, I like that. Because if she's just there, she's not doing her own thing. I feel pressured, because I always want to make sure how she's feeling, what she's doing. I want to take care of her. But if I feel that she has his own,
I was like, "Don't worry, Ziad. I have my
own plan." I always, when I check on her, she's happy, she's doing something she likes. That makes me feel
and
better.
And he can check his credit cards as well.
Later, I wouldn't do that mid competition. I check.
Remember, if I don't win, she's the reason.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck to both of you. This was awesome.
And we had so much fun together. Thank you.
Thank you, good. And I can't wait to see how Paris goes for you. And Nouran, best of luck rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reem. We had so much fun.
I did too, honestly. But time flew. I didn't even notice that we spoke.
Well, I recommend that. That's for real. Yeah.
I really feel like I could hang out with Ziad and Nouran all day. They're a true power couple and are so open about the challenges of being married to an elite athlete from a different sport. Their support for each other is truly inspiring. And while they haven't fully committed to it yet, they very well might end up qualifying to the Olympics together in LA 2028. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Abtal, and stay tuned for a brand new one coming up next week.